All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Reddit and Set It. I am Shawnee Louise, and this week we are reviewing Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. That's what we're going to say her name is. I apologize to her if I'm saying it wrong, but I believe that's what it is. And the name of the book is Honey and Spice, and I loved this book so much. I did not read it. I've listened to it. There's a lot going on these days, and so listening to the books is a little bit easier than just reading them, even though I am still a purist. I still intend to buy the book and put it in my library. But this book was beautiful. The actual physical book is 340 pages. The audiobook was like 12 hours or something like that. And if we look at the actual summary of the book, it says a radio host enters a fake relationship to save her show, but finds herself falling for the guy she denounces as the waste man of Whitewell. And it felt very Two Can Play That Game meets Dear White People. That's how I felt about maybe the first half of the book. If I were to summarize this book, I would say it is a love story at its core, but the male ego, but friendship, but politics, but racism, but self-discovery, but self-love, but accountability. It is about the love story between Killa Keeks and Malachi, but it is more about two young adults, because they're in college or university at this point. It's about them taking responsibility for who they've become and making the adjustments necessary for who they need to be. Kiki is someone I would describe as blindly hopeless. It's like when you're listening to her speak and you're listening to everything that's going on, it's like she knows what she's doing and she knows that it's wrong and you understand the rationale, but also like, stop doing it then. It's that friend where it's like, you freaked out, right? Yeah. And you were wrong, right? Yeah. And you were triggered, right? Yeah. So why? So stop. Just stop. Malachi is too good to be true. This man was written as a black girl's wet dream. I know that there are all those romance novels out in the world, and they've got these big, broad-shouldered white men with the chest and the hair and the this. That is what Malachi was for black women. There's nothing else I can say about it. He had the gold chain, the crisp t-shirts, the body, the skin tone. He had the personality. He had the recognition. Like, she made Malachi for the black woman who loves her a black man. That's what that was. So throughout the story, like it says, Malachi is deemed the waste man of Whitewell. Whitewell is the college they go to. They actually have a group called Blackwell for the black students on this predominantly white campus. And when I tell you everything that can happen happens, but somehow it still works and it doesn't feel overloaded in this story. So she basically has a radio show called Brown Sugar. And Brown Sugar is basically how to be a player for girls. Like, yo, if he said this, if he said that, if he does this, if he does that, he's playing you, sis, so just play him back. I feel like that's exactly what this story is. Like, she's trying to make sure her girls don't get played. So she's teaching them the game. And at some point, a couple of girls call in or write into the radio station about the same guy, and the guy ends up being Malachi. And, Kiki is a player herself, so she knows the game, she knows the players, she knows how to get around, and every time she tries to pull a maneuver, Malachi's standing there right looking her right in the face like, girl, I knew that was coming and I'm 3 steps ahead. And he is the one person who can make her weak in the knees, honey. So she ends up messing up in public, and Malachi kind of ends up being her way out. Her way out of the situation, her way back into the hearts of her viewers, her way to a better reputation. And so they choose to use each other and enter this fake relationship. Problem is, she's entering a fake relationship with somebody that she actually likes. And when you enter a fake relationship with somebody that you actually like, you actually like them. Like, you find out more about them than you knew before. And you end up in a situation. You know, I have a friend who tried to pretend date her best friend, and now they're married with 2 kids. Like, pretending to date somebody you actually like is not really the move. This book was beautifully written. This book was realistic. There was no point in the book that I felt as if what was happening could not happen. Now, at the end of the book, a huge declaration is made, a huge thing is done, and somehow it still felt real. I think the use of Kiki's best friend, I want to say her name is Amina. I believe the use of Amina was perfect. Like, there was no better way of using her as a character. Amina held Kiki responsible when she needed to hold Kiki responsible. Amina was her manager. Amina was her business partner. Amina was her best friend. Amina was sneaky, which I loved. But she gave the story another bit of reality. I think the mixture of the characters, the kind of people that they were, where they came in, how they played their parts, was beautiful. I love that when it came to Kiki's trauma and Malachi's trauma, that it wasn't given to us too early on a silver platter. I loved that there were so many callbacks to previous statements. There was a mention of them being superhuman that was called back to a couple of times. There was the thong song that was called back to a couple of times. There was the, I want to say D'Angelo song that was called back to a couple of times. There was her favorite fantasy book that was called back to a couple of times. Like, I love when you establish something and then the callback is natural, right? And a lot of those pieces did not feel like something that would be called back to. Actually, the one thing that I thought the author was going to call back to, she never went back to. And, you know, the story is called Honey and Spice, and within the book, the concept of honey and spice, the importance of honey and spice is explained. And I thought she was going to call back to it at the very end of the book. I was waiting. And then she gave me something so much better than what I wanted. I can't even be mad. I loved how the insecurities of every character, not just Kiki and Malachi's insecurities, Amina's insecurities played in. I think there was a character, I want to say her name was Raina. Rena is one of Kiki's old friends. Her insecurities played in. Zach is a whole damn insecurity, if you ask me. He needed to be chewed up, spit out, stomped on, burned, and then drowned, man. Like, Zach was trash. But the insecurities weren't just seen in one place. They kind of bled into everything, like they do in reality, like they do in real life. They just kind of bled into the different pieces and the different parts of these people. There were a couple of things that I had issue with, but they weren't enough for me to feel any kind of way about the book. I felt like the couple that they happened to interview at the Comic-Con thingy, I felt like that was super on the nose. It was super on the nose. And like when I heard it, I said, "Oh my God," but as I thought about it, like that was entirely too much. Like I feel like that interaction needed to happen, but I wish there was a better way for it to happen. It's possible that there wasn't. That's pretty much it. I just felt like that was super on the nose, and I wasn't excited about it. Every wrong decision that was made in this book, I completely understood it. Sometimes you read books and somebody makes a terrible decision and you're like, well, why would you even do that? That's so dumb. That's ridiculous. Why would you? And then you watch these people in this book make the bad decisions and you're like, you shouldn't do that, but I get it. You're screwing this up, but I get it. You're making life harder for yourself, but I kind of get it. I know somebody who would do that. Everything felt understood. Everything made sense. Oh, the best part of the whole thing was the play on the perspective. The very first Freaky Friday when we see Kiki and Malachi like interact. The fact that we get to see that whole thing from Kiki's perspective, we get to hear about it from Malachi's perspective. There are two other characters. We get to talk about it from their perspective. Kiki's quote-unquote arch nemesis, we get to hear it from her perspective. We get a little bit of what Zach saw, like the fact that we know something happened and everybody saw a little bit of something different. Their parental choices, how Kiki chose to deal with her trauma, how Malachi's dealing with his parental trauma. That last winter ball, when Malachi was walking out, what Kiki saw, what Malachi knew, what the friend knew, Kiki and the Blackwell girls, all the predominant girls that were in Blackwell with her, how she viewed herself, how they viewed her, the intentions behind her movements, how they perceived her movements. It was beautiful to witness the fact that everything that happened wasn't just what happened at face value. And when you hear the perspectives that you did not get initially, you get it. Like, this entire book is from Kiki's perspective, and so hearing about it from Kiki's perspective, we know her intentions, we know her mentality. But then listening to other people talk about what we witnessed from her perspective and how they perceived it, it's like, oh, yeah, you probably would come off judgmental. You probably would come off arrogant. You probably would come off as if you feel like you're better than everyone. Like, I get it. That makes sense how they came to that perspective. This book was beautiful. It's I don't want to say it's a British book. They're Nigerian, I believe, in this story. And listening to the audiobook, I listened to someone with that, the British American, not British American, the British Nigerian accent. I appreciate the fact that in certain parts they go in and out of their native tongue. This is a story about it's Nigerian, so it's a black woman and a black man. And you can feel the culture, you can feel the black in it, So, at this point, let's talk about our highlight character, our blackout character, and then let's talk about those comfy chairs, right? Highlight character, hands down, Amina. Amina is my highlight character. Now, some may disagree and decide that it should be Malachi because he's such a great man, blah, 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 blah. Bump that, Amina's it. And let me tell you why Amina's it. Number one, Amina is a true friend, right? She down to ride. When she thought them two girls was coming up to jump her and Kiki, she stood 10 toes down with Kiki. And when them girls started confusing her, she said, yo, we fighting or what? Oh, we not? Okay, cool. When she thought Kiki started talking too much, she was like, ma'am, I am your manager, your business partner, and your producer. I'm going to need you to calm down because you're trying to F up our stuff. When Kiki decided to mess up her reputation, Amina was right there like, yo, here's some ideas. Here's how we can fix it. Here's how we can get you back on top. Right? When Kiki started getting dumb about Malachi, Amina told her like, hey, you realize she's stupid, right? Oh, what's going on? I don't know why you like him. No, I don't. Oh, okay. But you do. Because the stomach, that's called butterflies, and this is called anxiety, baby. You like him. And, I'll give you some time to figure that out. But understand, this is what's going on. Right? When Amina was trying to deal with some other stuff, she's the one who was doing stuff behind the scenes and going behind people's backs in the best way possible to make sure that everything ended up how it should be. But Amina was not the perfect friend. She was jealous of Rena, I don't remember the girl name. Because she's like, your old friend gonna come back, take the place of your new friend, because your new friend know how to fight. And that's not gonna happen. When she was talking to Malachi and Malachi was asking her about something, she was like, I don't think her wife and her boyfriend should be friends. I don't think we should be too close. Right? The person she's married to and her side piece. You the side piece, boo. But Amina had her own issues. Amina had her own relationship thing that was going on that she was not great in, right? I love the fact that she was a well-rounded character. She was a great friend, but she had her issues. She had her problems. And just like Kiki's problem, and just like Malachi's problem, and just like a lot of our problems, it stemmed back to the parental relationship that she witnessed. Okay? Now for that blackout character. That character, with Amina, you highlight her. You love her. You want to see her. She jumps off the page. Now we're going to talk about that character that needs to be blacked out with a black permanent marker Sharpie. Thick. And I think we can all say it together if you've read the book. Because the answer is Zach. Zach is trash. Okay? The fact that he called Zach, y'all, it's making me so mad to even have to talk about this dude. So, one, Zach is the epitome of all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. And that's what Zach represents. Because, what? First of all, the fact that you're going to knock off Champagne Poppy and call yourself Cognac Daddy, stop it. And not a cute stop it. Like, actually stop. Don't do that again. The way that he treated these girls, and the fact that it was girls with a s at the end. Sir, go take several seats on the floor, in the dirt, in the back. The fact that he thought he was it and he wasn't? Sir. The fact that you can't tell when somebody actually likes you. The fact that you're insulted when somebody doesn't want you. That you think you are somebody when you're not. When you decide to trash and crap on the people that put you where you are, and they didn't even want to put you there. You had to convince them and blackmail them and pay them to put you there? And then you gonna shit on me? Nah, bro. You gotta go. You gotta go. Now, Malachi's dad was kind of a close second blackout character, but he wasn't in the book long enough for me to black him out, in my opinion. So it goes to Zach. Full bells and whistles for Zach. This book gets an absolute 5 out of 5 comfy chairs for me. It gets 5 comfy chairs, a blanket, and a hot cup of tea. This is a book that I know is a great read, but I have to say was an amazing listen. Amazing. To hear the native accent, to hear the voice and the tone and the intention behind the words. The woman that did the voiceover did that voice over, baby. Do you hear me? She gets all of the applause. The author of this book, Miss Bolu Babalola, all of the applause. It's got a 3.9 on Goodreads, and I don't know. I don't know how it doesn't have more than that. It's got a 93% for Google users, and that's a lot closer to what it deserves, because I told you that one part with the friendship was just too on the nose for me, but everything else, I loved this book. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was honest. This was a win for me. This was a win. I know I've been gone a long time, and I can't promise you when the next one's coming up. But until next time, grab yourself a book, curl up in a comfy chair with a blanket and a hot cup of tea, and lose yourself in a story. Bye. Until next time.